Welcome, Professor Felisini, once again in the context of our project of the Center of Excellence in Warsaw School of Economics. It is my pleasure to have another conversation with you today after our seminar in which you elaborated the challenges connected with the industrial policy. And in this context, I would like to ask you, what is your opinion about the Mario Draghi report, which was presented in September last year? Because it's a very important document in the context of the current priorities for the whole European Union. And I think that European Commission treats this strategy report in some of the areas as a main document in which European Commission will try to follow. So I would be grateful for your perspective and your opinion about this report.
So good morning, Professor Borovic, and thank you for having invited me to this short interview about Mario Draghi report within our project, within our project. Let's start with a first important consideration, so that the Draghi report, it's a very relevant document, since it, for the first time, it introduced some aspect of, let's say, of some programs for the European Union that in some way also try to change some of the main path followed by European Union up to now. Maybe the first one, but I will enter in this later, is the difficult relationship between competition policy and industrial policy. But let's start from the beginning. Mario Draghi, let's say, he analyzes, Mario Draghi and its team, of course, in the Draghi report, they analyze not only the persistent slow growth since the early, the beginning of the 21st century, but also the current challenges, including the loss of energy supplies and the increasing geopolitical instability. To address all these challenges, Europe, according to the report, must focus on three key areas: innovation and technology. The continent struggles with a stagnant industrial structure and lacking dynamic companies in this field. European firms invest significantly less in research and innovation compared to their US counterpart. We do not have enough data about Chinese investment, but maybe also about Chinese big business. So to cope with this, the Union needs a consistent industrial policy, support to startups, and cultivate skills aligned with the new technologies. So since the school and later in the universities, and also in the form of long learning possibility to, let's say, long learning for already occupied workers. The second field is decarbonization, but a coherent decarbonization, we know that can transform climate targets into economic opportunities. But we know that they are difficult goals to fulfill in a period of crisis. The example is the position of the automotive industry that is, let's say, pushing and lobbying against the new European Green New Deal. So Europe must strategize to ensure that decarbonization efforts do not harm economic growth. Mm-hmm. The third aspect, I say last but not least, space and defense. A field that is particularly open to the development of the so-called dual purpose technologies. So technologies developed in the military sector, in the defense sector, but can, let's say, also have a follow, let's say, positive consequences in the civil industrial sectors. So these are the three main sectors focused by the Draghi report. They are not the only one, since the report mentioned also transportation, a very important sector, not only for, let's say, the European trade, but also for people, for the circulation of people, for the possibility of people to move, to go in holidays, not only go to work. And a sector that up to now has not really been considered, so pharmaceutical and health sector. Very important sector, since considering not only the aging of population, but also the globalization of health. Maybe all these attention to pharmaceutical and health have been, let's say, the result of the pandemic, of course. So now European Union is thinking to, let's say, a union of health with new rules for all Europe. It's a very difficult target, but since it has very important industrial aspects, not only social and demographic aspects, it enters in the Draghi report. In order to, let's say, boost innovation in all this sector, the report speaks about horizontal policies, of course, including simplifying of administrative procedures that now in Europe are really a burden, since we, let's say, we have the administrative national level, sometimes also regional level, national level, and after European level. So a simplification of administrative procedures is fundamental in order to boost competitiveness for our companies. And we had the clear example of this problem in using the funds of the RDF, so the Plan for Resilience. And since in Italy, we clearly have the example of how difficult has been the spending of this enormous amount of resources due to too complicated administrative process and to the partially consistency between national and European procedures. I think that also in Poland you experience
among entrepreneurs, and mainly they have the arguments very often in different discussions. Then this problem is a challenge for them. Sometimes even they resign from applying from the structural funds, for example, because of this bureaucratic burden between national and European level.
And now the point about competition policy, that is really a point with P, a bold P, while reaffirming, of course, the need of, let's say, a fair competition within the European Union. That is, let's say, we cannot give up to these aspects in order to, let's say, develop and consolidate the single market. The Draghi report called for a competition policy suited to the global scenario. In particular, the question is whether a strict competition policy could clash with the need of European companies to get a sufficient scale to compete with Chinese and US, but also Korean or other country superstar companies. Some commentators have blamed that the lack of innovation on the application of competition policies and the ostracism given to industrial policy for many decades. After the neoliberal turn, competition policy has transformed itself in, let's say, a sort of totem of, it has been considered the real European industrial policy, the only one. It has been applied also in some period, also in a very ideological way by the DG competition. It has been very strong. And for the first time, let's say, policymakers as authoritative as Draghi is there to say this. So it's a very, it's innovative, let me say, it's innovative. It's a very brave affirmation. As to resources, Draghi introduced the possibility of an enormous amount of money to put in research and innovation, since the report spoke of about 800 billion annually. So an enormous amount of capitals to be mobilized on the global financial market with the instruments of the European Union, so with common issuance of bonds, let's say, common investments. The report enter also in the structure of the European budget, which is limited. Of course, we know it's a long struggle about the so-called own resources of the Union, and also it is a budget poorly focused, according to the report. The report, let's say, makes the hypothesis of a regular issuance of common safe assets to fund joint investment projects, and so really improving the market integration. But let me conclude. Let me conclude with, let's say, a political consideration. Since most of these crucial elements, common defense, investments, common issuance of bonds, call for political choices. They are not just economic and financial choices. And the problem, let me add my personal consideration of historian, exploring the first industrial revolution. So in the 70s and in the 18th century and 19th century, the beginning of 19th century, lot of historians wrote that the European political fragmentation, the political fragmentation of Europe, stimulated the creative process that gave birth to the Industrial Revolution, in comparison with the huge Chinese celestial empire that was less ready to answer to, let's say, the possibility to grasp the possibility of entrepreneurship, since it was too huge. And also the competition between the European countries of those centuries supported this creative process. But now the context is totally different. The geopolitical context is totally different. The technological and economical conditions have deeply changed. So fragmentation is no longer a favorable condition for European countries. So I think that the political aspects called in by the Draghi report are very important, And I hope that the Commission and also, let's say the institution, the European institutions, will have enough strength to keep together the European countries, to overcome also the Euroscepticism in a lot of countries, the anti-European forces that sit in the parliament in some way, and could, let's say, pave the way for a season of really pro-European policies.
Thank you. Just summarizing, you treat this Mario Draghi report as kind of a flagship document that in some way, at least, European Commission will try to follow and propose some of the aspects from the report, because we all are aware that the politics at the EU level is very complex, and this is always a subject of negotiations, discussion, and compromising. And we know that there are different opinions about this report, but from your perspective, I can find that it is a breaking through document that we should keep in mind, trying to build this resilience and competitiveness again in European Union.
Yes, I hope. I'm perfectly aware that the Draghi report have a lot of, let's say, unsaid problems or very smoothly problems. In some way, it could be considered also a report that involves mostly the, let's say, the big countries in Europe in some way. Now, so the Europe, let's say the Europe at two-speedness and so on. Of course, not all the European countries could be, let's say, the front runner of this process. Of course, Poland is a big country, Spain is a big country, Germany,
France,
now is,
of course, Italy.
But of course, we cannot think that small countries, in some way with some, let's say, backwardness, could be the front runner of the process. But Europe, let's say, works in this way. Also at the beginning, when Italy, that is one of the founding countries, was not as developed as France. It was not as developed as Germany in some way after World War II. But we entered in a positive synergy between more dynamic countries and less dynamic countries. But we need to accept, as in a family, we need to accept that not all the people is totally equal in a family. No, there are people with, let's say, more active role, people a bit far from the core of the family affair, family, let's say, dynamics. But only accepting this dynamic, we could overcome this period, in my opinion.
I think
for this reason, I appreciated the Draghi report. Notwithstanding the, let's say, of course, there are some things that are a bit, let's say, in the corner in the Draghi report.
Of course. But it's very important to have this kind of documents that will put very high priorities, very high demand actually from politicians. So this is a good starting point. Professor Felisini, thank you very much for your time that you found for us for this short review and deepening a little bit some of the aspects that we didn't have time to elaborate on during our seminar. So our guest once again was today our dear friend from Italy, Professor Daniela Felisini from University of Rome. Thank you very much, and I hope for meeting you soon in Poland or in Italy, as we said during the seminar. Thank you very much.
For sure. Thank you to you. Ciao.
Thank you. Bye.